Next up, refraction, transmission, and glass. So for this one, I'm just going to turn transmission all the way up. And I'm going to turn metallic all the way back down. And you notice here, okay, we're starting to feel like we have a glassy type surface. It's going to be very, very frosted. If we go down on the roughness here, you can see, okay, now it's going to be, I'm going to leave this something like 0.1. You know, right now something's kind of off, right? And if I simply come in here, I'm going to turn off my background plane. I'm going to rename this to background. I'm going to go back to my Rhino. I'm just going to full screen this so we can see this a little bit better. So something's up. If we go to the light, you know, we can start to see that it's starting to refract just by doing that, right? And if we go back to our fill light right here, you'll see, okay, it's starting to feel like glass. That is very, very apparent. This is just the HDRI. It's not going to actually affect the set unless we specifically tell it to. So we have a couple different properties here to get this to actually, you know, it looks okay like this. But as soon as we put that background on, you know, something's up because it's not actually refracting the background. So to do this, we go into our render properties and we're going to turn on screen space reflections and we're going to turn on refraction. But there's something else is up. It's still not quite working. This is where we get into back to our material properties here. And this is where it gets really confusing between shaders and materials because, you know, okay, we just told it to be refractive on the shader level, but now we have to get into material properties. So the material properties are generally speaking overrides for the shader, and usually they're overrides for the sole purpose of managing render times. We have to deliberately tell it to do something so that we don't accidentally jack up render times by accident. So we have to go back to our material properties down here. So right now up here we have surface, which is what this is going to be, but underneath here, these are going to be our material properties. These are going to belong to the material level, okay? So if you notice here, we have blend mode and it's set to opaque. So opaque is not see-through. So we need to set this up. We're going to do alpha blend by default. If you don't know which one to do, I would just always default to alpha blend, and we'll talk about more of these as we go. Which you can see here, okay, we're starting to get something happening here, but it's still not quite working. So we have to turn on screen space refraction. So those two things will start to give us, you know, a proper refraction. So we actually see the checkerboard coming through here. And if we turn on the background, we'll see, okay, this is actually looking a little bit better as well. The shadow is going to be controlled separately. So if we want to turn this on, we're just going to turn this on to be, you can do alpha clip. I'm going to do alpha hashed. Long story short, clip is going to be faster. Hash is going to be a little longer. We're going to get into these a lot more later on. I'm just barely scratching the surface of this stuff now. The only other one to be mindful of right here is going to be backface culling. So if you want this to refract the backside, which is basically just going to make it look a little bit more shallow, leave backface culling up. But if you want this to be something like, you know, to have like thickness to it, backface culling on. I'm going to leave it off for now. And next up, we have transparency.